Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is your Brain on Air with Ollie Vogt Larson back at it again. And it's on a Friday today. Holy man, it is Friday. This is the first dang time I'm doing this. I'm on a streak. I'm on a roll 4 days in a row. I'm definitely going to break it after this because I do need a break and I need to go. I'm not even going to lie to you. Fargo is a pretty stuffy town. Living here, admittedly, man, you don't get out very much. There's not many back roads. That's one thing that I do miss. I've moved to Fargo recently, back in 2024, January of that year. And the first thing I noticed is that, I don't really need to go further than a mile. The moment that I moved into a neighborhood, that neighborhood became a miniature town for me. A lot of people don't realize that when you're in a bigger city, it's essentially like the neighborhoods become the small towns, and then the small towns are literally across 25th, that's another town. But it's they're pretty self-sustaining. It's weird like that. Anyways, I'm excited to be back east. It's going to be great. Detroit Lakes, my hometown, going out to visit family again. It's going to be great. Honestly, plan-wise, I wanted to come on today because I was like, all right, let's hear. I was thinking to myself this morning, I think I'm good. There's not really much newsworthy to talk about. And then I started thinking to myself, and then I was going oh, wait a minute, the James Comey thing, that's kind of interesting. The James Comey indictment, as for some that may not have known, Mr. James Comey, former head of the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, has been brought up on charges. It's a very short indictment, admittedly. Indictments tend to be pages and pages long. This one is only a page. So this gentleman, James B. Comey, you might remember him if you're old enough to. He was heavily involved in the Steele dossier. This was right around the Hillary Clinton era. And then, if you remember, he was famously fired by Trump during his first term. And then there came that television show with, what's his name? Jeff Daniels, the actor from Dumb and Dumber. He played James Comey, wasn't nearly tall enough. If you've never seen James Comey, the man is 6'9", I believe. I have no idea. Hold on. I'm going to make sure that I am getting this right so that I'm not giving false information. Google, work. Okay, 6'8". I was wrong. My mistake. Anyways, Robert Mueller, all of this sort of, boom. It was a big era in politics. And recently, false statements within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch of the United States government, count one. Quote, September 30th, 2020, in the Eastern District of Virginia, the defendant James B. Comey Jr. did willfully and knowingly make materially false, fictitious, and fraudulent statements in matter with the jurisdiction of the legislative branch of the government of the United States. By falsely stating to a U.S. senator during a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing that he had not authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports regarding an FBI investigation regarding person one. I'm sorry if that legalese is tough to understand. Person one is Donald Trump. That statement was false because, as James Comey then and there knew, he in fact had authorized person three, this person, I'll give that name later, to serve as an anonymous source in news reports regarding an FBI investigation concerning person one. Person three recently has had their identity revealed. Person three is someone working for the FBI. The allegation is essentially, I'm going to try to break it down as best I can. Someone working at the FBI leaked to the press details involving the investigation regarding Donald Trump. It is now suspected that Mr. Comey did authorize this action illegally and then lied about it. That's the whole thing that I'm getting from this first paragraph and what comes after, is that you stated when you were head of the FBI to a lower level person to make this statement to act as an informant to the media. They should not have done that. That was perjury. That was illegal. That is basically what they're trying to get him on. So that's count one. All right, count two, obstruction of a congressional proceeding. On the same date, based on the same testimony, Comey did corruptly endeavor to influence, obstruct, and impede the due and proper exercise of the power of inquiry, under which an investigation was being had before the Senate Judiciary Committee by making false and misleading statements before that committee. Now, this is count one, count two. That is the end. That's all that they have him on. Very, very limited. This is, I know this might be, I don't even know if it's unpopular to say. This is clearly an example of a petty bitch exercising his ability over the government to, like he even joked about, go after his enemies. It obviously wasn't day one. You know, he sat on it for a few months, but this is clearly a fruition of what of the promises he made before. All right. Perjury has a statute of limitations of 5 years. As you might have noted, that date that I listed at the start, September 30th, 2020, at the end of this month, they would have been over the statute. They would not have been able to file this. It would have been expired. We're really, really close here. So details matter. Quote, one of the sources of the leak was James Baker. This is the gentleman, who at the time of the leak was the FBI's general counsel and also a close advisor to Comey. Baker explained to investigators that he had been under the belief that he was ultimately instructed and authorized to provide information to the Times by Director James Comey. Baker does not claim that this was a direct order. Quote, he indicated that the FBI Chief of Staff, James Rubicki, instructed him to disclose the information to the New York Times, and that Baker understood that Rubicki was conveying this information and instruction from Comey. Beyond that, most of the pertinent information is classified. Okay, if we want to summarize this pretty basically, criminal intent is really tough to prove here. I don't think that they have any means to, because there's proxies, you know what I mean? There's that layer upward between Comey, Rubicki, downwards. I don't know that, according to Comey, he didn't offer this order. According to Rubicki, he did, but through Baker's imagination, he thought that he was having it told to him, conveyed to him, that it was coming from Comey. It's really abstruse, abstract language. Very basically, I think that we can just say no harm really was done to national security here. The FBI's ability to declassify could easily get him out of this. I really do think that this is a bit of a sham. This is a bit of a like. Honestly, I think that he's just mad about the seashells. Does anybody else remember that? James Comey posted a picture of 8647. These were shells on a beach that, listen, let's get into this because I want to be very clear. James Comey posted on his Instagram, this was a post that says 8647. It is spelled in rocks and seashells on a beach. And I listened to his late night appearance, which was weirdly where he chose to defend himself, where he stated that this was just a cool shell formation on his beach walk. He's like, 8647, what is, even as director of FBI, I don't know how that 86 means to kill somebody. Essentially, I don't think that would make anybody happy. You know what I mean? If you were the 50th president and then you had some beef with a former FBI director and they were saying 8650, I'd feel a little suspicious. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I do not believe for a second, and I don't think anybody with common sense would believe that this was just a shell pattern that he discovered on the beach and posted innocently. I promise you. I've read this man's book, A Higher Loyalty. Listen, I understand that he likes to portray himself, and that whole book, if you've never picked it up, don't. I'm just going to say it. Watch the television show. It's a better version of the book, and it wastes less of your time. This came out like during the first administration. It's basically how he's been making his money. He doesn't do anything on the side. This man's been enjoying not being the head of the FBI. Okay. I don't know what else to say about this. This is just very clearly an example, at least in my opinion, of someone targeting somebody for maybe not being the biggest fan of them personally. And am I saying I understand that he does why he doesn't like him? Sure, yeah, 86-47 is a little on the nose. But am I saying that you got to give this guy some trouble legally in return for it? No, not exactly. I think that's a really good way to leave it. James, if you need some help, I'd love if you reached out, gave me a little shout out. Listen, buddy, I think that we could. I'm a little backed up. I want to help out that Senator Nicole Mitchell. I gotta help out this lady in the fraud case in Minneapolis. I got a lot on my plate. I would love to put you on that plate, James Comey. You fine 6'8" beast of a man. Yeah, you deserve only the best. I promise. I don't even care that you have daughters. They're great. They're great. You know what I mean? They're probably really nice. Anyways, moving on. Breaking also this morning. Holy man. Okay, Minneapolis mayoral debate. Yes. So this one was this morning. This was literally... Okay, so normally they host debates in the nighttime, and because like everybody's a little drowsy or they've had a little bit of the lick, so they can flow with it. When they say cats, they're eating the cats and the dogs, you can giggle at it. It's not during the morning work rush. You're not listening to this debate in the car. On the way to work, it's just not happening. So this was this morning. I don't know why they chose to have it. Everybody was clearly in like a bad mood. But they okay, so if you didn't watch it, I can be your recap. So let's recap this together. This morning, it was a real lineup of Oswald Cobbs, all right? There's 15 people, like, running in this election. Just so you know, 15 in total. Here are the 5 that matter. There was Reverend Dwayne Davis, Senator Omar Fateh, incumbent Mayor Jacob Fry, Jazz Hampton, and small business owner Brenda Short, who, let me get this straight, she is the standout to me. She's giving Tiffany Henyard vibes. If you know anything about Tiffany Henyard, she is former mayor of Dolton, which is this lovely township in Illinois. She was quickly thrown from the levers of power. They realized that this woman could not be trusted, and it was because she ran the town like a mob boss. Now, am I saying this woman would run it like a mob boss? Absolutely not. She's a former small business owner who really, like, listen, I'm not saying I trust small business owners. I don't. Like, most of them, whatever. Her IQ was on full display. She was very, as well-spoken as I think she could have been. There's not much to say about her. She was very much overshined by Jazz. Jazz, let me say this. He's got a real fun tech CEO energy. He's got like I'm a guy's guy, but I'm also like I'm a smart talking fella, and I can get points across. You know what I mean? That's everybody was serving a vibe, and I'm not trying to tell you their policies. I'm not trying to tell you how they're going to revitalize downtown. You don't really care. I'm trying to serve the vibes all these people were trying to serve. So Jazz, he was bringing this fun CEO energy. I think he is a CEO. He must be sweating as of late. They don't have the best rap when it comes to Democrats. Reverend seemed like he was jolly, but he was just like over-inclusive in his speech. This man was just broad with his answers. That didn't convey somebody with a clear and direct message. Jacob Fry, the cream in this Oreo cookie, by the way, he is the lightest colored man on that stage. The real whitey. He gave the typical bland but weirdly radical energy that he always gives, which is his whole energy was just, let's continue to build off of the shit work I've done in the 8 years that I've been here. This man's from Oakton, Virginia. He doesn't even belong here. Omar Fateh was certainly, he was certainly there. That's for sure. He's unable to be clear on how he fully stands. He'll happily stand with the Zoran Mamdani types. He'll go like, yeah, I don't know, I don't agree, but I don't agree too much with socialism. But then he's talking about free grocery stores and things like this. Revitalizing the community through not always the cleanest means, at least from what I can tell. This man's version of light democratic socialism that he's trying to serve here is, I don't think it's going to sell. I'm just going to be honest with you. These 5 are commonly thought to be the front runners. We have ranked choice voting this time, which is essentially you pick your top 3 favorites. I would say it's the most fair representation of how most people feel. However, it does have some anomalies, such as, if a certain person doesn't actually reach a certain percentile and they just have to jump down to the second most picked, then it can feel as though people are not going to be nearly as satisfied because it's like, that was my second choice. I guess it's not that bad. You can see how it's just a different way of voting. So this could definitely make the results hard to predict, especially given the fact that these are all DFL, Democratic-leaning people. They're all strongly, when they asked about the Trump's feds moving in on the streets, all of them went no. Jazz, Dwayne, and Omar very clearly have this. They have this ongoing light alliance, which they campaign together. They have some large things they agree on, but there's some minor there's some I don't feel like it, but I'm willing to forgive that so that we can keep slamming this one guy, the incumbent, and make him look bad. Admittedly, they did a great job of it. They made him look very by the numbers, usual politician in comparison to them. That's true. Am I saying that the performance was 10 out of 10? No. Nobody the performance was 10 out of 10 from. They're all Minnesotans. What do you expect from them? They're not going to be the most charismatic individuals. You listen to this podcast, you get to hear one from Minnesota himself. I don't speak all too great, and I refuse to learn how to speak even better. But my point is, I'm not running for mayor. I'm not running for mayor of Minneapolis, so I don't have to learn how to speak good. But at least these people should. And I give Omar and Jacob credit for this. They were the 2 on that stage where you go, these are the only 2 that have a decent chance at anything. The DFL, as far as I know, is not endorsing any of them. So this could go any way. This could go any major. This is a moment, you guys. So Minneapolis voters, I encourage you to not listen to me. I don't think that I am a source to be taken seriously on a lot of topics. I encourage you to watch the debate and make these determinations for yourself, because I don't know anything. You've already all figured that out. I watch things and then I give this is how it made me feel. These are how the people, this is the vibes they served. This is the feelings. That's all you're going to get when you come here. When you come here, you're going to get a little basic rundown of the shit you're not going to get in depth. Okay, so Omar Fateh, congratulations. You're probably going to be the next mayor. I'm guessing so. Everybody's saying Zoran Mamdani is going to be the next mayor of New York. Omar Fateh, you might be the next mayor of Minneapolis. Who knows? I mean, they didn't move significantly further right in the last election. They were not significantly more swayed than the rest of the state was. So there's a solid chance Omar could take it home. He could, for this unprecedented figure, he could really make history. Who knows? It's up to you, Minneapolis voters. So listen to me and don't listen to me. Listen to me in the sense where you should go watch the debate and make your own opinion. If I had to vote in any of this situation, okay. Reverend Dwayne Davis, why not? He seems fun. He's a reverend, you know what I mean? I don't trust Omar Fateh. I don't trust Mayor Jacob Fry currently. I don't trust Jazz Hampton, and Brenda Short, I don't feel it. I'm not feeling it. I'm just being honest, I'm not feeling it from her. Reverend Dwayne Davis, you have the official, not official endorsement. This is not going to be an endorsement. This is just going to be, I think that you're the least grimy, least visibly grimy of all of the people sitting on that stage. You were the least visibly disheveled. You had it put together, whereas these people didn't. Okay. On the matter of Charlie Kirk, guys, we don't know don't know anything anymore. Was there one shooter or 6? Who cares? We don't know anything anymore. We can't trust the Fed, that's for sure. Let's get one thing straight. I have limited hunting experience. I personally have shot a 30-06 maybe once, if never. It was largely my parents that were doing this sort of stuff. And my hunting experience is limited, possibly all of under 20 times in my life. However, I have seen this sort of weapon, and I've seen it in particular with deer and even elk spines. Personally, in my view, in my opinion, 30-06 would not be stopped by the human spine. Given this is based on my limited experience, it is not. It's fair to say it's been a couple of years since I've shot, but even the sound from 200 yards away, maybe someone could who has shot these types of rifles can confirm, but that just does not sound right, especially at the close-up angles. The ones that are technically closer to Charlie versus closer to the gun. It's not what you'd expect to hear even at that distance. I've recently seen footage that could implicate that there could have been another shooter up on his back right side. Now listen, I am not one to promulgate or promote conspiracy theories. I'm not one to indulge in fantastical thinking. But I'm certainly one that is for using objective reality to determine the things around me. And objective reality, what I'm seeing from these videos, from this footage, is telling me we're dealing with an exit wound. In my personal view, I've seen footage that implies to me that there's more here than we are being told. There is dramatically more here than we are being told. And if you want self-proving evidence, read the texts between him and his boyfriend. I'm not even going to talk about the boyfriend or the boyfriend's family. You know, I don't know about them. I know nothing about them. But I'm sorry. This romance novel did not happen. This romance novel of I've hidden away my shame in the woods, but the only thing that could warm me now are the arms of you in that weird little dog onesie that you post pictures on Amino of. You know, there's like otherwise how could you explain him going back into the left? I sound like Oliver Stone, but if you watch the footage, it's factual. He goes back and to the left. Back and to the left. All right. It looks weird, as though his hand movements, when the bullet hits I think that the bullet hit his spine first, making his arms kind of jut upward the way that we see it, and then the t-shirt puffs up, as you can see from the videos. The upper vertebrae, like the C2 through like C5, are all in charge of your arms, which if you look at the angle from which these shots, from up to his right, down, and then throughout the neck, and then into the ground, I would like to say at 200 yards, anyone who has hunted and can attest to this, a Mauser 30-06 would not have gone, it would not only have gone through him, but it possibly would have landed in someone behind him. And here the doctors, the autopsy men, they're telling us that they found the bullet in his neck. They're calling him the Man of Steel. It's a little weird. I've seen these things go through elk spines. The footage of the men grabbing the SD cards from the camera hanging right behind him is also remarkably strange. What I'm saying is, am I believing anything that anybody's telling me about this? Not really. And I don't think that you should either. I really think that what we're being told about this man being shot at the top of the menorah is not true. I'm not promoting Jewish conspiracy theories. It's literally shaped like a menorah. I'm not going Bibi Netanyahu fired the shot. Look, listen. Oh yeah, and he spoke at the UN and he had those stupid flashcards where it was like, oh my God. Should I just pull it up? Bibi Netanyahu, thank you so much for speaking at the UN. We appreciate We appreciate you for doing whatever you do. I'm not sure why you weren't arrested, because based on the fact that they have a warrant out for your arrest, they should have tackled you, is from my understanding. This is not like me saying that, oh, he needs to be taken away or anything like that for genocide. I'm saying, literally speaking, they have a warrant out for his arrest. I don't understand why they didn't tackle him while he was standing up there. So Bibi, my baby Bibi, he brought up these lovely flashcards, and it was multiple choice questions where it was, who shouts death to America? Hezbollah, D, Iran, C, and then he just listed all of these organizations, and then he was basically saying, our enemies all hate us. This is why we got to eviscerate them. We have to turn them into soup. This is very, 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 very not good for him. This doesn't look good. This people are already calling him the Antichrist. People already view him as the evilest person on the planet. This James Bond kind of smugness that you're bringing to the role is not helping. I'm sorry. These are like people like Peter Thiel that go out and they do these speeches where they're talking about the Antichrist. You're not helping. You are your own worst enemy to your image. Bibi, if I can speak to you personally, I am no goy. I refuse to kiss the wall. I love you. I have nothing but respect for you and the people of Israel. Do I believe that you're our greatest ally and that you are deeply vital to our national security? No. And if people love Israel so much, they should live there. I'm going to be honest with you. You hear a lot of United States politicians talking about how it's the greatest country ever. Yeah, live there. Go there. Go there for more than a day and tell me it's the greatest country ever. I am sure that you'll have a good time in Tel Aviv. But if you're going to be there for the airstrikes, I'm not going to say that it's enjoy. Bibi Netanyahu, please reach out to us. We can like I said, I'm a rehabilitator of images. I'll rehabilitate James Comey's image. I'll rehabilitate Nicole Mitchell's images. I will rehabilitate anybody's. I will try my best for you. Asha, that lovely lady from the case that I talked about yesterday, the fraud case. Bibi, the way to do it is to put the warheads down. Way to do it. I understand you were attacked. I know. I get it. Yes. And then they're like, the land was promised to us 4 million years ago. That's why we had to do the Nakba. That's why we got to push people out. We got to do all this. We got to do it. We got to make homes in the West Bank. We got to further the settlements. And I go, is that really the best for you? If you were really intrigued by the idea of peace, would you have rejected peace deals with Iran and fucking the recognition of a state of Palestine? No? I thought that the old school technique was we were going to go with a two-state solution. But all right, I guess that's kind of out of the picture. Listen, I don't want to be a full, we got to cleanse the land type, but I also don't want to be a from the river to the sea type. So I just, there's no good place to sit on this issue. There's no solid ground. You're either one or you're the other. And then we're just going to have to pick our spots. You're either Bill Maher going like Israel, they have to do it. It's what happens in a war, that they use civilian casualties. You're either Bill Maher going and talking about how Israel has to do this, or you're going out there talking about how Israel is the little devil, America's the big devil, and death to America. There's no middle ground on this issue, except for maybe there is. Maybe, if we let Bibi know that he's the little bitch in this situation, we could get somewhere. If we, as Americans, had somebody who was willing to go, look here, listen, I'm going to quote Joe Pesci from a movie. Looky here, you Jew motherfucker, you. The only reason you're here is because of me. That's, if we had leaders, if we had real leaders, they would be talking to him like this and not going the whole route of we have to defer to Israel for every single decision. Peter Thiel once again with the Palantir thing. I'm not up to date on all the situations of how my technology is being used against people. I just care about the. I like to defer to Israel because generally they're the ones, the authorities that we like to go to. What? What makes them the authority? So, and this is not anti-Semitic. I love my Jewish neighbors, and I'm 1% Sephardic. Shut up. Lovely ladies and gentlemen, I am a little tired. That or it's the poison working its way to my brain that Bibi put in my drink. I think I'm going to hop off today. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. You didn't have to be here, but you were, and I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you find ways to entertain yourself. I hope things go nothing but positively for you. I hope that may your beds be warm. May the warheads not fall on your city anytime soon. May peace reign. Peace reign. Honestly, I'm gonna quote our First Lady. What does she want for Christmas? She wants peace on the world. Peace on the world. That's right, Queen. Piss on the world. I love all you guys. I'll talk to you later. Have a great rest of your day. This has been your Brain on Air with Ollie Vogt Larson. Bye-bye.